any child, an errant child, would get a bit of a shambok to whip them into line, either physically or through other measures, maybe counseling. What are we doing with this child of ours, Nelson?
Well, I still believe that Mr. Chamisa is a young Zimbabwean. He still has that opportunity to positively contribute to his country. If he puts aside the vision for violent demonstrations against his country, being destructive, destroying property, and in the process people die, and if he decides that he shall have constructive debate, constructive opposition in the country, everybody will embrace constructive criticism, constructive debate, constructive contribution to the country. But if you are going to be destructive and they say, I will destroy in order to rise on destruction to power, then that is not viable.
The editor of the Sunday Mail, a state-run paper, Victoria Ruzvidzo, has come under fire for calling Nelson Chamisa, who leads the opposition MDC alliance, a little errant child. Ruzvidzo made the remarks while interviewing President Emmerson Mnangagwa recently. She said, an errant child would get a bit of a shambok to whip them into line, either physically or through other measures, maybe counseling. What are we doing with this child of ours, Nelson Chamisa? Commenting on Ruzvidzo's remarks, award-winning journalist and documentary filmmaker Hope Chingono said her speech was devoid of journalism ethics. Chingono said, it is shocking and professionally unacceptable that the editor of the Sunday Mail Zimbabwe, Victoria Ruzvidzo, would equate Nelson Chamisa to a little kid that needs a shambok. It just shows how deplorable this regime and its surrogates have descended from the gutter into sewer. UK-based law lecturer Alexio Magaisa said the remarks reminded her of the colonial era when African males, no matter their age, were called boys, not men, by Europeans. He said, an errant child would get a bit of shambok to whip them into line, either physically or through other measures, maybe counseling. What are we doing with this child of ours, Nelson Chamisa, says the editor of state paper at Sunday Mail Zimbabwe, Victoria Ruzvidzo. There is so much that's wrong with this. For a start, the irony is that the black man was regarded as a boy during colonial times, and in an interview to commemorate independence, the editor of a state paper describes the opposition leader as a child, literally a boy. Mnangagwa instinctively raises his head and looks up and probably grins underneath that mask, but he realizes the gaffe, and by referring to Mr. Chamisa, he tries to distance himself from the derogatory image. But he missed an opportunity to show leadership. A leader would have been more forthright in bringing the interviewer to order, to tell her it's inappropriate to call his political opponent, supported by millions, a child. Victoria probably thinks she did a fine job, and we haven't even talked about the violence. I don't know what the biblical code, or is it code, that Mnangagwa was on about. He probably meant the umbilical cord, but as this was a pre-recorded interview, one wonders whether someone was out to embarrass the men.